So I'm making this video today. My friend, a friend of mine, let me make sure this is working okay. A friend of mine was asking me about recording vocals. She's new to recording, what have you, and I'd explain it to her. But it probably might be easier to, to use like a whiteboard compared to just explaining it verbally. So, but I'll give her credit for inspiring me to do this. So, we've got our microphone, right? Let's talk about getting levels right. So that's the first thing. So before we talk about mic technique, let's talk about recording levels, right? So we've got like a sound source. Let's say we've got like a microphone of some kind. I'll just draw that here. The Khan Academy guide makes this look so easy, right? So we got our microphone, and then we've got that plugged into our interface, right? So we got our interface right here. And I'm gonna, obviously not drawn to scale. We got our audio interface here, right? So we're connected here, and then we're going to adjust the gain knob. So first off, we're going to be singing into this microphone while we're testing out, and then we're going to have a gain knob, right? I don't know if there's a gain. Oh, text. Can I type text in here? That's awesome. Right? I'm going to put a circle here as well. Let's change that to see-through. There you go. Right? So we're going to adjust the gain knob accordingly. And we'll know that because it's got like it'll usually have like a stripe of some kind. So we're going to adjust it accordingly, right? Let's say this is the dial. And now you're going to see your LEDs light up on your gain here. Whoops. So you're going to have a bunch of these green bars here. I'll just make this really simple on this end, right? There's yellow. We can't even see yellow. How well can we see yellow on this? And then it's eventually going to go into the red, as they say. Now this interface is going to connect to your computer, right? We typically want it like greenish yellow. Some people might say you get it into red, but red in the digital world is not a great thing, which I'll get into. So now this is going to connect to your computer, right? Your computer, we're just going to say it's going to look like this. There's your monitor, and it's on a stand, and then got your computer. On your computer, you're going to have a DAW, right? That could be like Pro Tools, Fruity Loops, Logic Pro, Ableton Live, all of those, right? And here it's going to have a meter that looks like this thing here, right? Now you're going to see in the digital world, we have something called dB full scale, right? You can't go above 0. So it's going to peak at some point. So your meter in your DAW is going to look like this, right? So it's going to be something similar. I'm going to have to just draw it smaller to size here. Was I using this one or this one? What's this? Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, sorry, ADHD thought bubble. So you're going to have it here, and it's going to be like this but smaller, right? Actually, you're going to see this on your computer as well in your DAW. And you're going to see some signal show up. Hopefully it doesn't get into the red. You don't want red. Now you might see something at the bottom of this meter that'll say something like -10, right? Or it might say whatever, -25, whatever. It could be any points in between, could be -0.03, right? So when adjusting the gain, this thing here, we're going to want this. There's different ways of doing it. I'm a bit on the conservative end. When I'm testing the vocals, right, I aim for -13, and I'll tell you why. That's going to be heresy, I guess. -13 full scale, right? It won't say dB full scale, by the way. It won't say dBFS either. It'll just say -13, right? Here's why. I'm still in the green a bit, maybe starting to approach the yellow. It's going to be measuring the peak. There's average volume and then there's peak volume. The peak volume is instant burst of energy, right? We're looking at peak. Reason why -13. When someone is singing, right? When you're practicing the takes just to get an idea of what the volume is going to be like when it goes into your DAW on your computer, when you actually do the take, they might get into it. The same goes for any instrument. It could be, again, voice. Again, we have a microphone here. It could be guitar. Try not to sneeze right now. Sorry. So in this instance, you know, the artist is probably going to perform louder than when you're just testing the signal, see how loud it's going to get. So they're probably not going to be singing at -13. They might hit a peak point where it could be -10 or it could be -7, right? So this gives you some headroom. Because what happens is when you go into, if you go over volume, right? So I'm going to create a sound wave here just to give you an idea. In the digital realm, let's say this is all the headroom you have, right? This is all the volume you got, is here, right? This is it. It's capped off. If you're singing and it's just going to these different volumes, that's fine, right? But if you go over this is just going to chop it off. This literally just chops the entire signal off. So if you have something like this, you're not going to hear this. It's actually just going to lop it off right there, right? So, and then boom, you're stuck. So this at a lower volume might look like this, but now all of a sudden, if I lop it off, it's gonna look kind of like like a bunch of squares. That's not the same sound, right? A square wave is a different sound than this, which is, you know, breathing organically a bit. So if you make that louder, boom, gets cut off there, boom, and then boom, right? So let's just redraw this at a louder volume. That gets cut off. And that gets cut off, right? So now you don't have any of that. You actually, what you have is oh, I'm not going to cut these perfect. Whoops, you get the idea. You get the basic idea. It cuts it off, right? So that's just the basics on the gain structure. So again, this thing here, this gain knob, you're going to adjust that to taste to make sure what works, to see what works and what doesn't work when you're recording signal. So, and it'll tell you again different values. I aim for -13. I know some people say that's too low. Whatever. So be it. Look, I've got a lot more headroom. You know, I have a lot more. Well, I don't want to get too theoretical in this. If I'm recording at 24-bit, I'm not terribly worried. So anyhow, that's this quick video, and with that, I'll pause it and I'll upload this.